Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Louise Hay class. This class is entitled Our Pathways to Happiness. So welcome everybody to our Zoom call. This is a very large call. Lots of people are signing in on Zoom right now. So I want to welcome you. We meet every Thursdays at 7 p.m. for this self-healing class. This is perhaps one of the longest running classes in the country. We've been offering self-healing classes every week since I've been in New York, but I have also been doing it every week before that. So I'm glad you're here. However you found us, it's not a coincidence. I also want to say that we have a creative living gathering on Wednesday nights. It's the same Zoom link, and we meet every Sunday morning at 10:45 for our meditation, and then there's a Sunday lesson, which starts right after it. Your presence at this very large and vibrant community is what makes these gatherings so special. It's our joy to bring you the science of mind, to bring you Louise Hay, her teachings, the best of Hay and Ernest Holmes, sometimes we call this. So it's our joy to bring you the teaching, and it's the collective energy of everybody and their participation that makes it most gratifying to us. All of our sessions, our gatherings are offered free of charge, and so we're thrilled that you're here. A number of you are supporting us financially, and there's always an option in the chat. So if you'd like to do that, whatever is given is appreciated. There's no gift that's too small or too large, so we appreciate it. It just allows us to do more of what we're doing. Currently, we're offering our sessions also in Spanish because there's a huge Spanish community that is in love with the work of Louise Hay. So here we begin. This evening, we delve into a topic close to our hearts, developing the personal courage to pursue happiness. I always thought happiness was out of reach when I was a kid because we were taught in the faith I grew up in to offer everything up, and our happiness would come, joy would come later. So this lesson is a different kind of lesson. In the words of Louise Hay, we've been down a long time, so we don't stay down for long. We don't stay stuck. This evening is about embracing that spirit within, about finding the strength within ourselves to do whatever it takes to be happy. I remember from a 12-step program 43, almost 44 years ago, which was, the universe's will for me is to be happy, joyous, and free. I always thought that was a beautiful saying, and so I'm passing it on to all of you. The universe's will for you is to be happy, joyous, and free. And that goes along with everything that we've ever learned in New Thought from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wants you to be authentic, and he applauds the thinker, so we're free of all the training and all of the, I want to call it baloney, but the stories that, the limiting beliefs, we strive towards freedom. All of the universe conspires towards greater freedom. You would read that if you were studying Emerson and his essays on self-reliance and others. So every lesson we have is about how the law works and how to learn to love yourself more, and there's always a time for personal sharing after everything we do. We look forward eagerly to hearing from everyone. It's been really gratifying for me to hear week after week, I hear people's demonstrations, their experiences that they have from working this teaching. So it's that's the best part of it for the teacher, because you start to hear your own words stated back to you, and how people are using what they're learning in the teaching. So that's really wonderful. And they're a source of inspiration to Jimmy also and the rest of us, because we're all working as a team here. So let's get on this journey together, exploring how we can cultivate more joy in our lives. So the first thing to understand when you come into a Louise Hay class is, she would say, I trust in the process of life to be there for me. And what we give out comes back to us. So Louise is telling us that we have the power. Ernest Holmes says the same thing. There's power for good in the universe, greater than you, of which you are a part, and you have the power. So all of the lessons that we have are going to remind you and tell you, and maybe you haven't heard it before, but you're very powerful. You're powerful beyond your understanding, most likely. We possess the transformative power to alter our conditions through your consciousness. So if you're joining us for the first time, these concepts might seem complex, but I assure you, as you engage with our discussions week after week, as you open your mind to new ideas, you're going to discover, first of all, they're not as complex as you think. Louise Hay did say it's all very simple. By changing your thinking, you will change your life. So reflecting on a past lesson from a couple years ago that I liked, I was reminded of a quote by Ralph Waldo Trine. This isn't Emerson, this is Trine, but he was writing from a similar period, 1897. He said, "We are born into a strange time, a time that tries our souls." And I thought, my gosh, that could be said of the 2020s. We're born into a strange time, a time that tries our souls. That sentiment can certainly resonate today as we're navigating through unique challenges. Remember in this teaching, what we teach you, whatever we focus on consistently manifests in our lives. So if you tend to think negatively, if you tend to be one of these people who's always going towards what's awful and what's wrong in yourself or in others, if this is your focus, if you're consistently focusing on the negatives, then the law is going to be acting upon those thoughts and that kind of thinking. So what you think about comes about. Louise Hay would say the point of power is always in the present moment. So the thing, if you're very new or if you're not so new, it's important for me to remind everybody that you are an inlet and outlet of this God activity and that life responds to you and it accepts you at your own evaluation of yourself. So if you have a low opinion of yourself and you're thinking negatively and you're thinking of all the things you can't do and you should not do and you have a lot of rigid beliefs, the law of life is going to respond to you. Louise would have said, what you give out comes back to you. So I came across a book a couple of years ago, which was entitled, What You Are, What You Tweet. So you think now it's called X, right? Twitter. And that was amusing to me because whatever you're thinking all day long and what you're thinking, what you're talking gets reflected into your world. So if you're on social media and you're filling your head full of stuff, it's like you can fill your head with beautiful music, some of the greatest thoughts that have ever been thought. You can spend your time communing with great minds and you can learn so much. In different classes, I've said you could be watching TED Talks a couple times a week. You could be listening to Emerson. You could be listening to philosophers. You could be listening to the great mystics. You could listen to Emerson. You could commune with some really amazing thinking. Emerson suggested that we hitch our wagons to the stars. Of course, Emerson was always ahead of his time. They say we haven't caught up to him even yet. But if you're able to level your consciousness up, if you're able to level up and commune with great ideas and great thought, what you're doing is you're raising your vibration, you're raising your consciousness, and what you think about will come about. The thoughts that we think and the content we engage on, today it's social media for the youth. They're spending 6-7 hours a day on it. This is what dwells in their consciousness. And, you've heard from the old adage with computers, you hear me talk about it before, garbage in, garbage out. Most of the world I've been learning recently in the studying I've been doing, upwards of 3/4 of it tends to be negative. And that isn't necessarily the people who are on this call, because most of you who are on this call, the hundreds of you that view it every single week, are learning to live what Louise Hay called the positive approach. You're learning to lift your consciousness up. You're learning to lift your sights up. And you're learning to develop a larger vision. And to the extent you're successful, you will have it. I was first taught this by my father so many years ago, I can't count them, when he was talking to me about Poor Richard's Almanac, which was, of course, Benjamin Franklin, who had the first self-help book. And Franklin was saying, assume a virtue if you have it not. And the idea is you keep practicing seeing the good. If you're miserly, you become giving. If you're, whatever it is where you're showing up short, Franklin would have you think the opposite, become giving. What's been exciting for me in recent months is reading about neuroplasticity and how affirmations, when they're repeated often, and when you bring them into your consciousness to the point of belief, they're going to override these old thoughts and these old thinking. David Walker, a past president of religious science, would say that we create avenues in mind. So in other words, thoughts are things, when you bring them into your consciousness and you bring them to a point of belief, you're going to eventually have a demonstration. You've heard said from the old Christian scriptures, the kingdom of God is at hand. Okay, the kingdom of good is at hand. You will hear in religious science and New Thought that it's all very simple. That's what Louise would say. What you give out comes back to you. So if you tend to be a critical person, full of criticism of yourself and others, that speaks of patterns of rigidity, and it's not fun to be you. And what happens is those inner patterns, you could cover them up, but it doesn't matter. They play out in your life. Every Thursday I ask the question, what is it like being you? And it's only because I'm wanting people to pay attention to what they're thinking. Because your thoughts are things. People have social masks they wear all the time. But beneath the mask, underneath all of that, is a person with emotions and thoughts and consciousness. And this consciousness is being played out in our day-to-day living. You've heard before the expression, as within, so without. It's the same idea. It's your consciousness. So what do you do when the whole world, most of the world as we know it, the collective consciousness of the planet tends to be negative and tends to be in reaction? When you come into a teaching like this, you're learning to develop a spiritual approach, a positive approach that Louise Hay spoke of. You're learning to rely on your inner knowing. You're learning to take time to think, to meditate, to take a pause, to allow spirit to become a part of your reality. You're learning to invite spirit into your reality to inform you and to guide you. We have what is called an internal guidance system. It's not unique to me, or it's not unique to anyone. It has nothing to do with where you were raised, what country you were raised, what faith you were raised in. Everyone is one with this one energy. There's no special religion. There's no special anything. This energy, this power, that's special. That energy, that power is in everyone that lives and breathes. So when you come into a teaching like this, you understand that you are inlets and outlets of this activity. And you come to understand that the universe is guiding you, if you will let it. Louise Hay would say the point of power is always in the present moment. And if you can get yourself in a new moment where you're free of the past, and you're free of your past opinions and your judgments and your anger, and you're able to be in a new moment, there's a line from the Course in Miracles, which is each and every instant is for giving. That's a play on words, but it's very beautiful. Each and every instant is for bringing the light and the love of Spirit into your awareness. And when you're able to do that, you're able to let go of everything. Spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, usually has 5 steps, which is recognition, unification, declaration, thanksgiving, and release. But you can come into this teaching, and when you can spend time with that first step, which is recognition, where you go within and you meditate and know that there's one power, one presence, and that power, that presence is in you, operating through you. As you can wake up to the idea that you are one with this, that you are an individualization of it, and that all power is yours, then you will definitely come to a place of knowing that all is well. You will come to understand that your thoughts are the universe's thoughts, that whatever it is, you are. You are an individualization in it, and it responds to you. So we don't do all of our work in the world, usually. We do our work in consciousness. Louise would say, when you really love yourself, everything in your life begins to work. You'll find yourself letting go of people, places, and things that no longer serve you. You simply won't have the same interest in them because you're being about your Father's business. You're going to come to realize that you're here for X number of years, and maybe you've been doing a lot of things that you don't really, you're not very proud of, but you realize that you're in a different place in your life right now. And just because you've made mistakes, you're not a mistake. Everybody, including yourself, is an individualization of this energy. And so you get to a point of self-realization, and you realize, look, I have no interest in this anymore. And it's not that you feel that you're superior to anyone, it's just that you've been down those roads, you've learned those lessons, and you release the need to go back and learn them again. We're not here to judge anyone either. I know a lot of people spend a lot of time with working with character defects in 12-step programs and in other programs. People do inventories. We do an inventory here too. Every Thursday night I ask the question, what is it like being you? And I ask that question because I really want people to reflect on what they're creating. The thoughts you think are creating your life. And if you're spending a lot of your time being critical outwardly of others, that usually indicates that there's a pattern within you that needs to be healed. Louise Hay would say in her book, she doesn't like the word should. You all know that. She said she thinks it's the worst word in the English language. And of course, once you get a handle on eliminating that word, then it's smart to start working on all of its synonyms. Because whenever you're using that word, Louise would say, you're pointing fingers at other people. You're making yourself wrong. You're making them wrong. And she would say, you spend your life criticizing yourself, and how has that been working out? Or you've spent your life criticizing other people, and how has that been working out for you? So she suggests that we take the affirmative approach. Now, what does that mean? Well, when you get into religious science, we understand that there is one power, one energy, one love. Louise Hay was a religious science minister and practitioner. So taking the positive approach is seeing the God, the good, seeing this divine energy in everything and everyone. She would understand that every encounter is a holy encounter. She would be incapable of seeing a flawed person, because Louise would understand what we teach every week here, is that everyone is doing the best that they can with the information, the understanding, and the awareness that they have. Now, you may not be there yet. You may be reacting to people, places, and things. You may be angry. You may be filled with resentment. You may lose your cool and lose your temper quite often. And this can be very, very disappointing. Louise would indicate to you, never, never, never criticize yourself for being where you are. By now, most of you have heard me say many, many, many times, never, never, never criticize yourself. I've been saying that for dozens of years at this point, and it comes directly from Louise Hay's books and her materials. She would say we've been criticizing ourselves long enough, and it doesn't get us anywhere. She also went on to say the bottom line for everyone is that we do this. And she claimed to have listened to thousands of people, and she said when you put all of it aside, she said the bottom line for everyone is they do it. They just don't feel good enough about who they are, what they have done, what they do. So there's this undercurrent of negativity that's really tough to get rid of. You've heard me say in other classes, especially as I've been studying some of the neurosciences, that most of the collective world of people, as you know, do not live with this mystical understanding. They don't approach life using the affirmative approach that Ernest Holmes taught or Louise Hay taught. So for those of us who are here on a call like this and who are committed to this practice, we're somewhat of rare birds. She would say, Louise, deep at the center of our being is an infinite well of intelligence. Ralph Waldo Emerson would have said something similar. Ernest Holmes would have done the same thing. Each of us exists as an inlet and outlet of this God activity. We have everything we need within us already. Yet we were raised in families and we learned a lot of stuff that doesn't really serve us. And if you wonder why your treatments don't always work and why your affirmations don't always work, it's because we need to constantly remind ourselves of the truth. We need to practice the presence. We need to use our affirmations and we need to repeat them with passion. In other words, we have to bring them into ourselves to a place where there's an acceptance. A good number of you people do this because your work, I know how hard you work on yourselves. I've been working at this myself for some number of decades. And there's some of the other people that are ministers and practitioners on the call, and some of you have just really been doing the spiritual work. But it requires that. It requires consistency of effort. My best advice for anybody is to tune in. If we meet 3 times a week and it's free, go to Facebook and go to YouTube and listen. Let yourself be reminded of how great you are. And let yourself be reminded of the power that you have to transform your life. But it won't be just a light Passover. By that I mean, you can't just say it once or twice. This is not a teaching that, because I've heard many people, and I used to do it myself, I would have read the Science of Mind textbook once or twice in my life. It's something to be studied. And the Louise Hay work of learning to love yourself is a practice. If you were to look at the Science of Mind textbook and you go to the glossary around affirmative prayer treatment, Ernest Holmes would say it's the time, it's the art, it's the method of ridding that negation or that negativity from us. So we ask you every week to become guardians at the gate of your own thinking. And if you're being critical of other people, I got news for you. Whatever is pointing outward towards others, it exists within you. If we find ourselves being openly critical of other people, what they're doing, what they're saying, and how they're living, it represents, in most cases, an unhealed part of ourselves. When you really, really love yourself, everything in your life starts to work, and you will start to you'll start to realize that you don't have many issues with other people when you bring yourself to a place of self-acceptance and self-approval, which Louise Hay would say are the beginning of all positive changes. It's a really easy tell when you see somebody who's complaining about everything that goes on in life, the world, the traffic. If everything's a complaint, it just would suggest this person doesn't love themselves very much, or they haven't yet come to the point where Louise Hay is speaking. She's talking about self-acceptance and self-approval. And none of us are there entirely, but this would be our goal. To seek, there's an expression from 12-step programs, we seek progress rather than perfection. Louise would say it's like cleaning her apartment or her house. She begins wherever she is. And that would be true for any and all of us. We begin on the thoughts we're thinking. And you ask yourself, are they life-giving? Are they life-enhancing? It begins with the people you hang out with. Are they people that are going to add something to your life? I mean, you're allowing people in your space. Are they people that are reflecting the love that's in you, or are they people that are going to drag you down? You are the decider in your own life. You're allowing the people in, and you're also releasing them. So it's up to you. You're the director. You are the author of your own experience. So this whole thing with Louise, it's about self-acceptance and self-approval. We all know Louise Hay became a phenomena in the realm of healing and spiritual growth all over the world. She's emphasized the profound impact of our thoughts and our words on our lives. One of the main points in her philosophy, again, is the concept of self-acceptance, loving the self, and self-approval. And she said it's a very powerful antidote to the often destructive habit of self-criticism. And if you can believe me, and I've done the research, that the vast majority of the collective, it tends to be negative, then you want to step out of that. Bill Tolliver, who was one of my favorite teachers, used to say, this is a first-class teaching for first-class people. And he was never suggesting that we're any better than anybody else, but he was suggesting that we can be smarter, we can live our life more intelligently. He and Louise Hay and Ernest Holmes, and none of them believed that in criticizing ourselves or others, we would get any place we want to go. Instead, all of that perpetuates cycles of negativity, self-doubt, and it hinders our growth, our expansion, and ultimately today's topic, our happiness. So there's a futility to it. Self-criticism is a common trap that we all get into. So we're either doing it to ourselves or we're extending the criticism towards another. When you get into religious science, you're going to understand that you're in the perfect place, at the perfect time, and all of the time. Such a powerful sentence. You're at the perfect place, perfect time, and all of the time. And then when you look at other people, just release the need to point a finger at them or comment about them, because the thing is, no matter what they're doing and however they're showing up, this is where they're at. This is where their consciousness is at. And just as you have evolved over time, they are evolving now. And so we want to give everybody a break in that sense. Sometimes we think that we can be hard on ourselves, we can push ourselves towards perfection and avoid making mistakes. But that's not possible. Louise argued that this approach is not only ineffective, but it's also harmful. Criticism, whether directed at ourselves or others, creates a negative energy that will cloud our judgment, affect our relationships, and impede our personal growth. She spoke and taught about the transformative power of self-approval. So in contrast to being critical of ourselves or others, self-approval opens the doors to a much more compassionate and fulfilling life, and you'll be much more happy. When we start approving of ourselves, we're laying the foundation for positive change and great happiness and joy. This doesn't ever mean that we're ignoring our faults or mistakes, but rather we accept ourselves as we are with kindness. We never criticize ourselves. We know that we make mistakes while we're learning. We're human, and so is everyone else. So as we approach life and ourselves with kindness and understanding, we're going to create a nurturing environment for growth and improvement. And this goes towards our relationships with others, as I've already mentioned. Louise taught that the practice of self-approval naturally is going to extend to others. When we're kind and accepting of ourselves, it becomes much easier for us to treat others with the same compassion and understanding. And this is going to create a ripple effect. It'll foster a much more positive and supportive community around us. She also talked about divine order. She encouraged us to trust the process of life, or trust the universe, and trust that it has a plan and that everything is unfolding in divine order. This particular perspective helps us to let go of the need to control all these different aspects of our lives and other people's lives. Let go and let God, or let go and let the universe, and to trust the journey. Even when it takes unexpected turns and things don't go the way you want them to go, you will say to yourself, you will learn all is well. And she will say, I trust in the process of life. Affirmations are so powerful. I've never realized how powerful they are until just recently. I've always believed in affirmative prayer. But these affirmations, when you say them, believe them, connect with them, you're really creating truly avenues in mind. You're overriding old thoughts and beliefs. Affirmations are so powerful. So use them in your practice of self-approval. Here are some affirmations I thought I'd share with you tonight from Louise, which I think are particularly good and powerful. The first being, I approve of myself and I love myself deeply and completely. And these are affirmations that you could make even more powerful if you use them in front of a mirror and you connected deeply with the words. Again, I approve of myself and love myself deeply and completely. The next, we've all heard, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Another, I'm worthy of love, happiness, and success. That goes right along with I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I love the world the way it is. There's nothing I need to do or change. What you'll get at with all of her work is you are enough. You always have been. But see, deep in the center of our being, that's a profound truth, but that's not something that we all believe as of yet. So this is something we're working towards, self-acceptance and self-approval. Another great affirmation is, I am surrounded by love and everything is fine. Another, my heart is open, I speak loving words. Another, I am at peace with my past. I release my past and I am in love with my present. That's a good one, if you're able to do it and mean it. I'm at peace with my past. I release it. I'm in love with my present. Another, the kingdom is where? It's within you. So you could say to yourself, I am a powerful creator. I create the life I want. All power is yours to create the kind of life that you want. I've said in many lessons, in many ways, it's entirely up to you. Please don't look to anyone else to fulfill you or make you happy. You alone have the power to make yourself happy. Next, I am safe in the universe, and all life loves and supports me. Now, this might be tough for some people who are feeling like, my God, people ought to do this for me and that for me and all of this, who have this underlying belief that they're not enough and all the rest. This one, again, I'm safe in the universe, and all of life loves me and supports me. So each of these affirmations are potentially powerful, but the thing is, you would want to bring them into yourself and you would want to say them and repeat them and own them and until you can feel the actual energy of those words operating in you and through you. I have another. Every experience I have is perfect for my growth. And so that would suggest that you realize that everything that has happened to you in your life, however tough and however beautiful, has been there for your evolution and your growth. And everything that's happened has been a stepping stone to greater understanding, greater awareness. And you come to the obvious conclusion that all events, circumstances, and happenings have been helpful to you. That's a line from the Course in Miracles where it says, the line exactly is, it takes great wisdom to understand that all events, circumstances, and happenings are helpful. Not everyone has that wisdom, but people who are approaching the metaphysical life and living with these principles understand that everything is unfolding in divine order. If you want to live a happier life, the suggestion is start incorporating the practice of self-approval. Pay attention to the conversation you're having with the most important person in your world, which, of course, you realize is you. So start incorporating the practice of self-approval. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop criticizing others. If you find yourself doing it, stop mid-sentence. Start approving of yourself, using these affirmations in your daily life until you feel them. As you do this, you're going to notice there's a shift in your mentality from criticism to positive expectancy, from doubt to one of confidence. The shift not only enhances our own well-being, but it will also positively impact everyone around you, leading you to a happier, more fulfilling life. To wrap up today's lesson, Louise Hay's teachings on self-approval and the power of affirmations offer a transformative approach to life. By embracing these principles, we can foster a deeper sense of self-love. We're able to extend compassion to others and open ourselves up to great happiness and joy and the abundance of life. Remember, the journey to happiness begins with a simple yet profound step: approving of yourself. It's about time for us to turn the call over to all of you to find out what it's been like being you this week, what the conversation has been like, whether it's been thumbs up, or, hopefully everybody's been taking good care of themselves. Here's a closing poem for us before we turn it over to you, and it's entitled "The Mirror of My Soul." In the mirror of my soul I stand, gazing with a gentle heart, not reprimand. For every flaw I see a story untold, and every line a journey bold. I whisper to the reflection I see, you are enough, just as you be. With all your imperfections and grace, in this world you have a special place. No longer do I seek to chastise, for self-love in my heart now wisely lies. In the garden of my soul I sow seeds of approval. Watch them grow. Gone are the days of harsh words, so cold, replaced by affirmations brave and bold. I am worthy, I declare with my might, in the depths of darkness in my own light. With each step in self-approval, I tread a path of compassion and love instead. In the mirror, now a friend I see, smiling back in tranquility. And so it is for this evening. I look forward now in just a second to be hearing from you, hearing what your week has been like, what it's been like being you. Thank you.